I knew the moment I saw the beige minivan parked in my newly paved spot that my day was about to get complicated. She was standing there, arms crossed, a scowl etched onto her face, as if I had personally offended her by owning the asphalt she was now claiming. "Get that junk off my street," she barked before I'd even fully gotten out of my car. The sound of her voice a rusty, grating saw. I felt a sigh escape my lips before I could stop it. A quiet resignation to the absurdity of it all. I'd been expecting this, hadn't I? The new development on our once sleepy street had brought with it a lot of changes, not all of them welcome, and she, Linda, the neighborhood Karen, was the loudest, most persistent symbol of that unwelcome change. My heart was already pounding against my ribs, a familiar thrum of anxiety and frustration. I could smell the fresh tar of the new pavement, a scent that just yesterday had represented a fresh start, a clean slate. Now, it smelled of impending conflict. "Excuse me?" I said, trying to keep my voice even, though I felt my stomach clench. "This is my spot. I just had it paved." The sun was beating down, making the air shimmer above the black asphalt, and I could feel the sweat beginning to prickle at my hairline. Linda laughed, a short, sharp, disbelieving sound that sent a shiver down my spine. "Honey, you might have paved it, but it's on my property line. I've been parking here for 10 years. My brow furrowed. 10 years? The land where my house now stood was an empty lot just a year ago. Was she really that delusional? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. The last thing I needed was to lose my cool. But the anger was bubbling up, a hot, fiery sensation behind my eyes. This wasn't about a parking spot anymore. This was about entitlement, about the audacity of it all. How could someone be so brazenly wrong and yet so confident? "Ma'am, with all due respect, I own this entire lot, and I have the deed and plat map right inside," I said, pointing towards my front door. "That means the whole driveway, and the 2 parking spaces on the side, are mine." She scoffed, her face turning a shade of scarlet that clashed with her perfectly coiffed blonde hair. "Deed? Plat map? Oh, please, don't think you can just show up and steal a long-standing parking spot. This isn't just about me, you know. It's about respecting the neighborhood." She gestured vaguely down the street, as if enlisting the silent judgment of the other houses. What respect? Was it respectful to park in a space that didn't belong to you? Was it respectful to be so aggressively wrong? My mind raced. I'd seen her pull this stunt with others. She'd complain about a lawn gnome being too close to the street, a child's chalk drawing being an eyesore, or the sound of a lawnmower on a Tuesday morning. She thrived on conflict, on asserting her authority where she had none. But this was different. This was my property, my home. The air felt thick. The silence between her tirade and my response stretched to an agonizing length. I could hear a dog barking somewhere far away, and the buzzing of a fly against my car window. "I'm not going to argue with you," I said, a little too quickly. "I'll go get the paperwork. Maybe that will clear things up." She just smirked, a patronizing twist of her lips. "Go ahead. You'll see you're wrong." The smugness on her face was almost unbearable. I felt a surge of adrenaline, a determination to not just win this, but to dismantle her arrogance completely. Inside, the cool air of my house was a blessed relief. My hands were shaking slightly as I went to my office, pulling the manila folder from the top of the filing cabinet. It held the deed, the survey, the official plat map. But I had something else, too. Something I hadn't planned on needing. Something that was a little extra, a little petty, and absolutely perfect for this moment. I took a moment to look at it, a faint smile touching my lips. My heartbeat was a steady drum now, no longer a panicked flutter. I walked back outside, the folder clutched in my hand. Linda was still there, leaning against her minivan, still looking supremely confident. She straightened up as I approached. "Well, ready to admit you're in the wrong?" she challenged. I didn't say a word. I simply opened the folder and unrolled the plat map, laying it flat on the hood of her vehicle. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at the detailed drawings of the property lines, but her expression remained unfazed. She was looking for a flaw, a mistake. See? This clearly shows the lot line goes to the edge of the street and includes 2 parking spaces, which are mine. I pointed to the meticulously drawn lines. She leaned in, her gaze moving slowly over the map. Her smirk started to waver, just a little. She saw it. The property lines were exactly where I said they were. My hand hovered over the drawing, ready to explain it again, but she cut me off. Okay, fine. But that doesn't mean you own the street itself. You can't just pave over public property. She huffed, her voice lacking its usual thunder. And there it was, her last gasp of a comeback. This was the moment I had been waiting for. I calmly reached into the folder again and pulled out a second document. I didn't unroll it this time. I simply held up the top corner so she could read the headline. I saw her eyes widen, her mouth part slightly, and the smugness on her face evaporate completely. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the chirping of crickets somewhere in the long, dry grass. She went utterly, completely silent. What did that second document say, you ask? It was the official city approval for a private street designation for our small cul-de-sac. It had been part of a deal I had negotiated with the city as a condition for me purchasing and developing the formerly abandoned lot. Not only did I own the lot, but I, for all intents and purposes, owned the entire street that ran in front of it. Her parking spot on her public street? It was, and always had been, my private property. The color drained from her face as she finally understood. She didn't have a leg to stand on. Not one claim to her long-standing parking spot that wasn't immediately invalidated by a piece of paper in my hand. The quiet was almost delicious, a balm to my frazzled nerves. It was the silence of a bubble bursting. She stammered for a moment, her mind trying to process the information, to find some new angle to attack from, but there was nothing. She slowly pushed herself off the car, her posture shrinking. She looked like a child caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Without another word, she got into her minivan and, with a defeated puff of exhaust, backed out of the spot she had so loudly claimed. She drove off down the street, not even glancing back. The feeling wasn't one of triumph. Not really. It was something more profound, something closer to justice. It was the moment entitlement met its match, not with aggression, but with quiet, meticulous planning. In a world full of people who demand what they have not earned. Felt good to stand your ground, to be the person who holds the cards, and to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that some battles are won not with the loudest voice, but with the quiet strength of the truth. It's a reminder that a little bit of karma, a little bit of research, and a lot of patience can sometimes go a long, long way.